Jill Konrath is a best-selling sales author and sales strategist, and here are her 5 steps to thrive in sales.
I think partly it depends on what you're selling and the price point of it and the complexity of the deals and the number of people involved. I don't think you can make any true statement about everything because some people are selling apps for $10 a month or, $1,000 a month, and other people are selling, $1 million systems. So I don't think that there's any one thing. However, I do think that everybody needs more understanding about the buyer, the journey that they're on, who's involved in the decision process, the things that they get hung up on. And the more you know about that, the higher likelihood that you can address things proactively and become a leader and a guide of the sale. And that's what helps move the deal along more than anything. I mean, I honestly think if you ask me, and again, I don't sell, widgets or anything that's low priced. I mean, to me, the more you understand and the more value you can bring, the higher likelihood that you can get a deal and that you can close something. And let me add one other thing too. For years, I've been a big proponent of trigger events. The trigger events are things that happen either within a company or external to a company that suddenly change an organization's priorities. And to me, if you're looking at who should I be selling to if I want the shortest possible decision process, you should be looking for organizations that are already going through some sort of change themselves, who are analyzing what they're doing and saying, wow, can we continue with what we have, or should we be looking at something else? And if you get people at that point, they're already open to doing something different, and then things speed along much faster. That's the truth. I mean, if you're doing the same old crap, why would anybody want to talk with you? You have to be more knowledgeable yourself, not just about your product, not in your service, but about your buyer and how they make decisions and what's happening in their organization. And if you can target and go after those companies who have the likelihood of changing now, I mean, that makes all the sense in the world, but it's going to take a little bit more time to prep for it. I mean, I think we're stupid if we're trying to sell, things that require multiple decision makers in an account that takes, 3 to 6 months. I think we're stupid to think more and more and more is better. Just dial and dial or email and blast them till eternity. I mean, what a waste of time. I mean, what a waste of brain power and what a waste of everything. I mean, it's disgusting to the people on the other end if they just get more crap all the time. Nobody wants to talk with you. I mean, so why waste your time doing more when doing less and doing it thoughtfully is really what will capture people's attention, open them to talking with you, position you as you want to be positioned as an expert who can bring value. I mean, that's doing less and doing it better. I mean, that it is traditional. That's all I can say. It's like all these people stupidly believe that sales is a numbers game. It's actually never been a numbers game. In truth, it's been a quality game, but everybody doesn't know that. I mean, I can remember when I first started in sales at Xerox, and we had all these metrics that we had to meet in terms of calls per day, cold calls, proposals, et cetera, that we had to do every month. But the reality is all the top sellers made fewer calls and had better ones. I mean, that was the reality. And yet they still drove to, you have to do more and more and more. So there's this like entrenched mentality in people's mind that this is what sales is all about. There's also a whole lot of people who aren't in sales that's what they just think. That's their default setting is that, we get these dumb salespeople who just, don't know anything. But let me just say, if you are in an organization and that's what they're doing and your boss is pushing you to make the numbers. The reality is you are not being set up for success. And there are probably other companies out there that you may want to consider looking at. I actually have an ebook on my website called Avoiding the Nightmare Sales Job. And it's about how to look at companies ahead of time so you don't get in a position like that, because that's stupid. It's a setup for failure. You make more calls, you have more failure every day, and you just get pushed to do more bad behaviors so you can fail more often. Isn't that wonderful? We can fail more often. I think it's stupid. I think that there are a couple things involved. First of all, if you're a new salesperson, you do have to call on more people to have success because your close ratio on every aspect of your, sale is, I mean, everything that you do, you have to make more calls to get a meeting. You have to have more meetings to get a demonstration, whatever the logical next progression is in an organization. So new people do have to do more because their failure rate is higher. But I think what would be a very interesting thing to do is to, rather than having numbers or benchmarks for everybody in the company, but to identify some leading edge benchmarks in terms of, where can you improve? And if you're tracking your metrics at all and you know how many calls you're making and you know how many initial calls or initial emails convert to initial meetings, then you have some data to work with. And to me, if everybody can be focusing on how can I improve my own metrics so that I can make fewer calls or I can send fewer emails and have better success. So to me, if you can think about how can I do less to get more and actually start experimenting and trying different things. To me, sales has always been a grand experiment in effectiveness. In terms of what can I do to get better? So here's my email that I'm sending out right now. What could I change? Well, you can change your subject line. You can change your salutation. You can change your first sentence. You can change the length of the email. You can change the font that you're in. You can change all sorts of things. And why aren't we experimenting? Why do we just say, well, this is my email? It's like, well, that's your email today. Why aren't we try something different to see if we can improve our effectiveness and get something that delivers better results? And I think the same thing can be said throughout the entire sales process, that rather than looking at it in grandiose things, we should take it down to the individual level, and we should each be saying, how can I improve my own conversion rates for every single step of the process? Where am I struggling? Where am I losing people? And then what can I do differently? I think it's a real different conversation to have in that, and to even pull entire teams in there and say, let's, as a team, start experimenting and see if we can come up with different ways to do this. And we'll try it, and we can even have some fun and competition in doing this too. But it's really about tackling sales as an experiment, and let's see what can be improved. Sure. I mean, if you take a look at it, do they happen in certain parts? I mean, the drop off at the beginning is huge. I mean, how many emails or phone calls do you have to make to have an initial contact? That's huge. I mean, there's so much that can be done at that point. The failure rate of initial meetings is atrocious. It's atrocious. And we should be saying, what can we do differently in an initial meeting to get different results? I mean, why would we just say, well, I had the meeting, they loved us, nothing happened? I mean, they loved us, nothing happens. That doesn't compute. I mean, if they loved you, they should be saying, how soon can we sign up for this? And when can we get one in our office, or how soon can you get somebody here? But if that's not happening, there's a failure point, and we can identify it and say, what can we do differently? This is an experiment. How can we change things up? And people can be reading, they can be talking to their peers, they can be, watching YouTube videos, they can be listening to podcasts. But why should we just sit and accept that sales is a stagnant process? It is it's an evolving process. And what we have today is only our best guess right now. And there's always room for significant improvement. I don't think people treat sales like that. I think they just do it. I think they do sales, not treat it as a grand experiment,